Alrighty. So for this video of the security collection, now that I'm got what I need to get covered, the last video was basically your physical location. Where you actually put your computer, where you put the server, the actual physical location security, what you should have. Now, last two videos I mentioned situation with the server out front by a receptionist type person that comes in, puts in your info, whatever, car dealer type, what car you make, whatever they need to enter in to that. A lot of places have receptionists. I brought up cameras on the server location, key location, stuff like that. But other point I didn't cover is you might want to have cameras on your workstation locations. Not the actual worker workstation. If you have 4 computers or 5 computers, you may want to have coverage on those areas. Because worker A might be using this workstation here, but worker A might end up doing something else over here where they're not supposed to be doing. You might want to see that. That goes back to securing data and knowing what's going on, because maybe that 5th workstation has a DVD burner, workstation 1 does not. That's part of security that a lot of places I see don't care. They order computers, they come with what they got, they give it to the people, there you go. Well, that might be one aspect you need to figure out in a business or even home for like your kids. You may want to give your kids a computer. Do you want to give your kids a DVD burner in that computer? Because they might burn stuff onto that DVD that you don't want being shared. Simple change out of hardware. I have a lot of hardware videos. I'll be covering that subject alone later. So, but for this video, I want to cover the actual login. For home users, I see this a lot. I don't have a password on my computer. Go ahead and log in, do what you need to do. What's your admin username password? I don't have one. I am admin. Oh! No. That's the first thing you need to change. You as the everyday user should never be the admin. Never. Because, number one, you should have an admin account. Even for businesses, I've referenced this out to a couple businesses too, where they have a user that uses that computer pretty much all the time. That user's been there for 10 or 15 years, no problems, whatever. Do you have an admin on that account? No. That user's the admin, that user can do whatever they want. Okay. If you want to do that, that's fine. My number one recommendation is set up admin account. Either administrator, admin, whatever your business name would be, a user account that is on the same as on all your computers. Have a password on there. Because here's the kicker that I keep telling people, and I'm really surprised a lot of people have not got burned by this, but they must have a good IT person that they can call or have a password crack software that when that user for some reason forgets their password, or they have crappy password security and that user's been using the same password for 15 years without changing it, because when that user gets locked out and that's the only user on the computer that's the admin, how do you get that user back in to that computer without cracking the password? If you had an admin account or even two admin accounts, if you have an admin account that you would have an admin person that you know that comes and services your computers, use that admin account, and then you have an internal admin account so that, let's say, that business or whoever you hired to come in to work on those computers, you fire them or they go out of business or something happens, that maybe somebody on that business changed that admin account across the business because it was easier for them because they're using that same admin password at 10 other business locations. And then you can't get in because you don't have the admin account. Have another one. You can have more than one admin account. That's one of the big things that even to small businesses I teach them. Set up multiple admin accounts. 2 or 3 of them if you need to. So you don't get locked out. Because if you get locked out, it could be hours or days of downtime on that terminal or even across your business because you can't log in. So what they do is they don't create a password. Well, it's okay and it's not okay. Because a password's important because it stops your computer from doing things kind of automatically. This is why when you're not admin is an important factor, because when you have an admin account and a piece of software wants to install, what happens is it'll come up and say, enter your admin name and password. If you're online on Facebook or whatever you're doing, and it comes up, or you're opening an email and it comes up, enter your admin name and password. Woo! Red flag, red flag. Why is it asking me for that? Usually that's because something's trying to install or something's trying to go on in the background that you probably do not want to have going on. That is one of the key reasons why your primary user should never ever be an admin. Because if you're logged in as admin and you're online and you're looking at Facebook and you're doing whatever, it's going to let people do whatever. It's going to install that software because you're logged in as admin. You don't want that to happen. Not to mention, if you're not updated on your firewall, virus scan, malware, all these other things that you need to do to make sure you're secure nowadays, you can be in a world of hurt. Because you're admin. You don't want to do that. And there's other cases where you're admin on this computer and you're admin on that computer and you're admin on that computer with the same username and password. If it's something very malicious that can jump through the network, your username and password that you had here is duplicating over. It's a lot harder to do that when you're not admin. This is the primary reason why I recommend to everybody stop running under admin. It's not a big deal to have an admin account. You can have multiple admin accounts that, let's say, Yates Computer. I have an account on my computer that's Yates computer with a simple password 1234, something like that every user knows. Because sometimes you go online and it says your browser needs to update, Firefox, enter your username and password, blah 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 blah. Something simple where, okay, I want to do that. I give you permission. Not, oh shit, what did it do? Because you're logged in as admin. Not to mention, that username and password you gave out to everybody is not that big of a deal. As long as they're reasonable people and they don't go in there and fiddle with things. That's why I always recommend having more than one admin account. Now you have an IT admin account. Let's say you have your other admin account that everybody knows for installations, upgrades, whatever they need to do. So you have a third admin account. That would be board of director, someone in charge, management, some kind of supervision person that's there. Because say you have a termination or a firing or something of that, best practice would be change the number 2 general admin account password. Because you had employees leave or whatever, you don't want them having access to that system. So you would log in as the supervisory admin account that a lot of people would not know that account exists. And your IT person can also do that if needed. But if it's an offsite IT, why pay that call to have that guy come in just to change a password when it's something you can do? And you're back up and running, everything's smooth, just a minute or two job, boom, boom, you're done, move along. It's an easy fix to do per computer. If you're on a domain and you have domain names, logins, and that type of stuff, it's a really easy, quick fix to do. You go one place, you change it. If you have individual logins on each computer, you would have to go to each computer and change that password. Now, the other thing you can do is as soon as someone got terminated, you go to their individual workstation and you change those passwords. You change that user that got terminated's password and the password of the admin. And then you can work on getting all the other ones done. Not to mention, you have trustful, reliable employees that can change that password on their own individual computer. Because they're going to need to know the password anyways, because that's the one they're using to install and upgrade. You don't give them the passwords to the other admin accounts. Not to mention, admins can change admin passwords. So you got to be a little careful. Admins can change all other users' passwords. So that's why I recommend, even on a home, you have an admin account and you have a user account. People's computers that I work on for my family have 2 admin accounts. There's the admin account, and then there's the admin account that's mine. There's 2 admin accounts. Because when I give them the paperwork, I give them the paperwork with their admin account and their login name. Or multiple logins. My admin account, I know the password, I know the username because I use it all the time on all the different ones. It's not that big of a deal. But sometimes they get stuck, they can't remember that password, maybe they've changed it, whatever it is. I have the other password for the other account to get in to override whatever they did, and they don't touch my account. That's important. These things will come up. Important if you're a home user. Let's say you have 2 admin accounts. You have someone that comes to work on your computer, comes to do something for you that you paid for. They need that admin account. You can choose. Do you give them this admin account username and password, or my username and password that I'm using? You may choose to use a different admin account name. It's important that way because if you're a home user, you might have a certain admin username that you use on multiple devices that you don't want a general person coming in. They're working on your computer, you have a username for that. But I know a lot of people have the same username and password on their switch, their routers, their webcams, their this and that. It's the same username and password, so it's easier for you to just go in and do what you need to. Best practices is you're supposed to have a different username and password for every device. But real world, people aren't doing that. I mean, that could be really tough, really difficult, really annoying to do. I know people aren't doing it. So if you had a secondary account where it is not the password you're using on everything else, not to mention you can go in and change that admin password on that other account at any time after that guy's done servicing it, doing whatever he needs to do. You go in, you change that password, you know he can't get back in. Not only the password, you can change the username of that admin account. So if you go into a store and they worked on it and you just think, oh, this guy, I'm a little shady, I don't know, kind of question it. After the fact, you can go in and change that username and password. Not to mention, you can go in and change the username and password to all those users in there if you really want to. So that's part of what I wanted to cover in this, is just the login, because it's crucially important, because you always want to have a password. Some people will tell you, no, you got to have a high secure password with a number, a letter, a symbol, a capital. Really, all I really want to see people doing is having some kind of password that is not password or blank. You got to come up with something for a password. Even as password as your password is actually a little better than not having it, because it will take someone actually to type it in to get access, because not everybody would think of, oh, I'm going to put password in as password. If you're in the field and you understand all of what's going on and you understand the logics and the numbers and all of this stuff, you might guess that someone put password in as their password, because that's one of the highest used words for password. But some other people might not know that. They might know it now because I just said it on the video, but that's another reason. Don't use it, because it's in my video. Other people are going to know. You know, because it's on my video. So those are the key points that I really see with logins. Admin account is not your everyday user account. You can have multiple admin accounts. It is probably best practice and best to have the multiple. Even if you write them down your passwords on that. Put them in your underwear drawer, sock drawer, something. That even if someone found them, they're like, what the hell is this? Don't put your username and all of that. You have to remember what that form actually is. It has those number symbols or words or whatever you want. You don't want to leave it laying around. It goes back to the other video. Don't leave your personal information laying around where anybody can get to it. I know I've rambled on a lot for this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe, the bell, all the routine. If you have any questions, comments, post them. If I need to do another video more on detail on this, I can. This was one of the key subjects that I see a lot of. I've seen a lot of. Still see a lot of. So, this was one of the things that ran through my mind with all this stuff going on right now is, I wonder if anybody's following these best practices. I know it's business and government, but are they doing this? Our home users, they should be aware of this, because I'm seeing this on TV about this happened and that happened and this happened and that happened. Maybe it's time to refresh. So that's what these videos are for. I know it's probably been years since someone's actually touched on some of these subjects. Alrighty, I think that's it for this video. I'll be coming up with the next one here pretty soon.